Kral space, I'm Kim Kral. Kral space, I'm invading your space. Kral space, I'm Kim Kral.
Hi, it's I almost didn't remember where I was. It's Kral Space. Hi guys, I am Kim Kral. I am reporting to you not live, but starting to get sweaty already. Oh, that rhymed. That's fun. From my closet. And I also feel a big poop coming on. So that's fantastic. It's just like, come on, body. I don't know about you guys, but I just have this body that's just like, oh, you're in the middle of something? I think it's time that we have to blow out a toilet. Or, yeah, I pooped, like before the world ended, I pooped at my tax guy's house every year because I was so nervous. And it's also not, he got an office, but when he was doing it out of his house, it was like, what's the most uncomfortable thing you can do? Poop in your tax guy's house. I don't know. I just don't understand. I don't know. So we may have to stop this to go poop. I might even like stop it now before we get into it. It's just like, what is happening? I don't know. That's not your poop scoop. I'm just being candid, I guess. I think it's candid. Yeah. Hi. I also found out yesterday, I was with a girlfriend and she was like, we were talking about farting, and some dude was like, we weren't around a lot of people, but it was like I knew a guy. We went to a bar, socially distant, masked, don't worry. And but you had to sit at a table, and there was none left, but I knew a bartender, and he let us sit with him. And Jesus. Now that the world is changing, and hopefully we'll never go back, you just have to be really picky on who you hang out with now. Do you know what I mean? Like before it was like, oh, you could just go with someone to a bar, and then if you didn't enjoy their company, you could just bop around to table or meet new people. And now it's like, no, there's 10 tables here and you have to stay at your table with the people you came with. So you need to really enjoy their company. And this guy's always been like a nice bartender. Like he's always been nice enough, but dude, and then I finally was like, I gotta go. When he was trying to say he like knows all these real comedians, which is just such a shitty thing to say, because I'm like, are you saying I'm not a real comedian? And he's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like, I know like guys that are like on TV. And I was like, oh, okay, who? Like the community is so small, right? Like it's like such a small community. Like I know a lot of dudes and women that are bigger, but it's just because it's a small community. And he named a few, and he's like, I don't like that guy. I was like, I've known that guy for 20 years. He's actually always been very kind to me. And then he said another guy, but like completely butchered his name. I just love it when people are like, I know. And I'm not going to use their names just because he didn't say nice things about them. But he said he knew that guy. And I was like, you mean? And I said that. And then he goes, oh, yeah, please don't think I'm an R word. And I was like, Jesus, dude, like what? Like to quote Jason Bateman in Ozarks, where he's like, when guy at the bar was calling Huck or Tuck, I don't remember that kid's name, but was calling him the R word. He goes, yo, my young kids, my 10-year-old has figured out that you don't use that word. So it's just like when a grown man says the R word, I can't say it. So if you don't know what it is, that'd be wild if you didn't know what that was, but I can't say it because it's just such a derogatory. But if your grown man just keeps saying it, it's a deal breaker for me, first of all. But it's just like, geez. And then I finally called the conversation when he was like, my favorite comedian of all time is Marky Mark. I was like, what in the actual fuck are you talking about? I was like, Marky Mark's not a comedian. Ex-rapper, sure. And he goes, and also, he's not a very good dude. He's like, no, he's a good dude. I'm like, no, he's been arrested for, like, literally arrested for hate crimes. Like, literally arrested for these things. And he's like, well, I'm like, he's trying to half-ass apologize now that, like, everything's coming to a head, hopefully. But he's trying to, and I say hopefully because I hope that it gets really bad so it can get better and we can live in a better world. But he's trying to apologize now that like racists are being called out, but his apologies are such bullshit. But I've never heard a more ridiculous statement than, no, that's not true. we live in a world of ridiculous statements. Oh God, we live in such a dumb world. But once he said that, I was like, all right, we're going to go. Nice to see you. But we're sitting before all that happened, we were talking about women and farting. And he's like, yeah, remember women don't fart. And he's trying to be funny. And it's just such a hack thing to say. Because it's like, ha ha, you're right. We fart cotton candy. And then they're like, yeah, I got to be funny for a minute. Man, guys, ugh. And he also blew his mind. We were talking about, it was like, yeah, as women, we are taught at a young age, in order for a man to think that your idea is good, you have to learn how to make him think it's his idea. I'm going to say that again. Women at a young age are taught that if they want their voices to be heard in a room full of men, they have to make it so their ideas seem like it's the man's idea. We've been taught that since we were little. Fuck that, right? Like, it's like, I shouldn't read social media or be around, I guess I just shouldn't be around humans anymore. I just can't. And when he heard that, he goes, yeah, we won't listen if it's your idea. But if we know it's our idea, like, we'll definitely do it. It's just like, do you fucking hear yourself? Do you fucking hear yourself? But so he said women don't fart, and he was trying to say it like ironically. I think ironically. I don't fully know what that word means. I've looked it up multiple times. I feel like there's a lot of definitions, and everyone thinks it means something different. So I just avoid using it altogether. That's awkward I love, and this will be the thing that I get DM'd about. Every week I get DM'd a bunch of stuff about one thing and I don't mind it. I love it. But it's like, hey, irony actually means, but so, and then my girlfriend goes, actually, like, doctors have said a lot of studies, and then she looked it up to prove it and was like, everyone farts 5 to 15 times a day. Now, I am not one of those people or women that says I don't fart, but like I don't fart 5 to 15 times a day. And I don't think it's because like I'm, super girly or like feminine. I think it's just because like my insides are super fucked up from, I ate a lot of glue as a kid. That's a weird thing just to throw out there, but I feel like I told you guys this a couple of episodes ago. So that might have fucked it up. I just stopped eating every piece of gum that I put inside my body maybe 2 years ago. I swallowed every single piece of gum that I put in my body until 2 years ago. So that's like, when are you allowed to chew gum? Who knows? With my parents, I probably was allowed to chew gum pretty early. So a lot of fucked up stuff in my insides. And then, So I'm like, I don't think it's that I don't fart 5 to 15 times a day because like I'm trying to be ladylike. I think my insides are just super fucked up. And so then she's like, well, now you'll be thinking about it. So now like count. And I was like, all right. So unless my sleep, maybe I just get it all out in my sleep, which is a whole other thing that I don't want to unpack. But I was on a podcast too the other day where the guy was like, the guy on the podcast was like, yeah, he's like, have you ever like gotten up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and then walked into your room and it just smells like shit and you're like, oh man, I've been farting all night. And I'm like, no, that has never happened to me. I've never walked into my own bedroom and been like, oh, I've been really, going at it tonight. Like never. And so since she says that, I've been trying to count. I have not farted. I don't know where to put that. It's probably not good. I don't think it's probably good. I would rather be one of the people that, poops the healthy 3 times a day. Apparently a healthy colon moves 3 times a day. But I don't fart. I got a job. I'm not excited about it. Like, I'm grateful for getting money again, like having money come in and not having to rely on the sociopaths that are in charge of us who are arguing over, people. Like I've read so many stories. I'm on this unemployment Facebook group and like I'm freaked out, that money is like the unemployment has gone way down and like the money coming in has gone way down after the 600 has went away. But I also have savings, but so my unemployment obviously doesn't cover my bills. Like I live in Los Angeles and even at the max, it's like $1,600 a month or something like that. Maybe $1,800. I make like $1,740 or something like that on unemployment. Thank God I worked in a bartending job before this where they forced us to claim literally every dime we made. Otherwise, I'd be with a lot of my bartender friends are making like $100 a week on fucking unemployment because they didn't have to claim everything, which is a whole other thing we all can get into, but I am tired. So I'm excited for what is happening? Why? Does anybody else have that like Chrome just like opens up sometimes on my computer, just opens up, and it's like, it's very intrusive. It's like Bing. Get the fuck off my computer, Bing. I know that's a virus, and I've had to like get rid of it multiple times, but now I guess Chrome just opens up for no reason. What am I saying? Oh, I got a job. It's bartending. The owner of Big Wangs called me yesterday, and I will be working at one of their bars. I am going to be training tonight. We'll see. I'm grateful for the income coming in, and I know I'm also a very different human than I was even 9 months ago when I was bartending. And I got my eye on the prize. You know what I mean? Like, I got all of my goals lined up, and I'm scared because bartending, you can, like, in the restaurant world, you can easily really get sucked in to all the drama, all the, like, but you need to cover this shift, or like, you have to come in. I don't care if you're going to the ER. Like, I'm not going to get into that. You know what I mean? And and it's not just with like this restaurant. It's literally every place I've ever worked. There's so much drama around. Like, I had one manager ask to see a picture of my vomit to prove I was puking. Otherwise, he would suspend me for 2 weeks for not coming in. Like, it's just such a bullshit industry with stuff like that. And I got my zen and my serenity, man, and I'm not going to lose it over this. So we'll see. I went in yesterday. The owner, who's a good friend of mine, we're old friends. I worked for him for a long time, and we stayed in touch. And I'm grateful he called me and was like, he's like, "What are you up to?" I was like, "Looking for a job, dude." He's like, "We're hiring." He's like, "Literally, just walk in, ask for the manager, give him your email. We'll train you tonight or tomorrow. We'll put you on the schedule this weekend." And I was like, "Perfect. That's awesome." He's like, "You don't need to be really trained. It's so easy. Just like I worked at all of his bars, right? So I know I'm not going to get super worked up over this. It's just I walk in and the guy is like, "Where's your resume?" And I was like, "Joe just told me to fucking give you my email. Like, I'm hired. I'm not." And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then he's like, "Well, you're going to have to learn all the table numbers." And I was like, "Oh, I'm bartend." And he's like, "I don't need a bartender." I'm like, "Well, I haven't served in a decade. I'm not a waitress. Like, I'm not opposed to going out and like running food and shit and like helping people, but I'm not a goddamn waitress." And I know that sounds like elitist. It's not. I just am not. I was when I was with my friend last night, I was at one of my favorite bars in Hollywood called Elbow Room. Go. Support them. I love everybody that works there. I know the owner well. Support them. Small businesses, baby. But I was there, and the bartenders are having to come out. It used to just be bar service, so you go up and you get your shit, right? And the bartenders are having to go out to the tables now. And it's so funny. The bartender comes up and he's like, "Yeah, this is so weird because people are treating me like a server. I'm not a fucking server. I'm a bartender." Like, how people treat servers and bartenders are night and day. But one of the big main differences is if you're at a table, you idiots think sorry, that's so mean, but it's so true. It's like, read the menu, where it's like they're like, "What's good?" It's like, "Well, I don't know. What do you like to eat?" Like, it's just a lazy way. It's just lazy. You just don't want to read the menu. So you want me to tell you what you should get. Like, read the fucking menu. And as a server, you have to be like, "Hi, welcome to Big Wangs. My name is Kim. Can I start you guys off with a Wangzuki today?" Like, you have to do that as a fucking server. As a bartender, you don't do that. And I'm like, I can't. I didn't do it as a server, so I'm not going to do it now that I'm a bartender. Like, as a server, I got written up a lot for not being like, "Hi, welcome to Big Wangs. My name is Kim. I'm going to be taking care of you." Just not in me. You know what I mean? So he was like, "Well, we don't need bartenders." And I was just like, "Well, I guess, I don't know what to tell you, dude." And he's like, yeah, no, yeah. Because I'm like, you're not going to call your boss and be like, "Oh, like, he already told me I had a job there as a bartender." So I don't know. When I worked at, I just, like, butting heads with managers is just one of the most frustrating things. And it would happen a lot at Big Wangs. I wouldn't butt heads. Like, they would just be like, like a new manager would come in. And I was just like the lead girl, right? Like, I'm good at bartending and I'm good at what I do, or what I did. I guess what I do now. I don't know. I'm trying to like justify it all. I don't even know if this is interesting or not. I'm just like spinning about going back into the world today, and excited too, I guess. But like, yeah, a new manager would come in and then like wouldn't like it's like prison. This is how I used to describe Big Wangs. It's like prison. So like the new manager, like the new like guard would come in, see the biggest dude, and if he like stood up to the biggest dude, then everyone would know that like he shouldn't be fucked with. So every time a new manager would come in, they would always try to like butt heads with me. And for like what in my 20s, I would be like, fuck that, and I'd call Joe and like I'd bitch and shit. But then once I got older, I was just like, they're like, you don't get all the good shifts. We're gonna give the Good Friday night to someone else for a while. And I would be like, all right. And then, you know, the owner would walk in and be like, where's Kim Kral? And they'd be like, oh, and they'd be like, put fucking Kim Kral on the fucking schedule. And so, like, I would just, but it's just like this, like, back and forth. And I just got to the point where I was like, all right, well, it'll work out. And it always did. And then the manager would be like, oh, I guess you have to be, it's just so stupid. It's all ego. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? So I guess I'm just, like, there was already, like, a hint of that, but then I think he saw that, like, I knew literally, like, all the OG people at this bar yesterday, and then last night when he called me, one of the main guys was like, oh my God, Kim Kral, I can't wait to work for it. Like, so I'm like, it's going to work out. It's money coming in. This hour is going to just be me convincing myself it's okay to go back to bartending, and it's not a step backwards. It's not a step backwards. It feels like a step backwards, guys. It's not, though. It's in the middle of a fucking pandemic where, yeah, people would kill to be able to bartend. And this place is going to be packed. They literally are building a bar out in the street. Literally the street. When he told me there was going to be a bar in the street, I was like, yeah, right. And I walk up and there's literally a bar in the street. And all the bars on this Magnolia, which is a pretty busy street in North Hollywood, are building out in the street because it's outdoor dining and people are trying to survive. And they're opening football season, and it's not, I don't know, it's not a step backwards. Someone tell me it's not a goddamn step backwards. And it's a job. Like I've been job hunting, and also I'm still going to be job hunting for other stuff. That's the other thing. Like back when I was bartending before, my only source of income, besides like modeling gigs here and there, but they weren't like consistent modeling gigs and like consistent comedy gigs and voiceover. You know what I mean? Like you have to have a side job in this industry for a while in order to survive because, you know, it's gig work. But the last time I bartended, that was like my main source of income. So I was tied to it. So it was like I had to work this shift and give up this voiceover job that paid minimal, but like in the long run would be better for my career. But like I had to pay bills this month. You know what I mean? And so I'm still looking for other stuff. A few of you have reached out with like leads, and I so appreciate it. Thank you so much. Like it's just like, I'm one lucky broad. I'm one lucky broad for that. And I'm one lucky broad that I have a job. I know that I sound like a stuck-up asshole right now because there's like 30 million people without one right now. And every one of them would be excited to work this. And I'm going to keep my unemployment claim open, just you know, file that I'm working or whatever. Because who knows, the world might shut down in 2 weeks and I don't want to have to try and get back into that system. So it's like, it's going to be worked out. And I have a clear path, and it's going to be okay. Oh my God. I'm a little, I don't know. And then also going in, when you go in to train at a new place, and I was that girl for years. A new girl would come in and you would just be like, I'm so cool. I'm the lead bartender. And like, just like I was that girl for years, and I'm not proud of it, but like, so I get the like psychology behind it. And I'm old, guys. I'm old now. And I'm not like old. Like I don't mean like I'm an old woman. I just mean I'm not 22 anymore. So I just literally don't give a single fuck. Like I don't care about, and that's how I was at the end of Big Wangs too. Like I would walk in and I worked with a bunch of like 23-year-olds, and they would be mad at me. Like I would walk in every day and a new 23-year-old would be mad at me over something. And I got to the point where I was just like, I don't give a fuck if Jessica's mad at me. She's going to be mad at Ashley tomorrow and totally forget why she's mad at me. Just like Brittany was yesterday. Like it was just, I've now talked a sufficient amount of time. I guess there'll be some good stories too. Maybe I'll be able to scream some more about having to yell at morons for not wearing masks. Jesus Christ, what's happening? I think I have a date tomorrow night. I think I'm going on a date tomorrow night. Oh man, I don't know if he'll be listening to this. It's an old guy, not like an old dude, like he's old, like, you know, in his 70s or something. But like, I dated him, I guess, like 4 or 5 years ago. Well, if you're listening, pause if you don't want to know how I really feel about the whole situation, or listen, and it'll make for an interesting evening. Or maybe he doesn't even know I had this. Who knows? But I met him like 4 or 5 years ago when he moved. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Probably 4. Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter at all. But he'd moved here from Chicago, and he was a comedian, and we met at like a comedy party, and we went and got a drink afterwards, and we hung out a couple of times. I don't know. He wasn't super nice to me. He was very dismissive, like very just like, what she's that. And again, like, we've all changed. So I'm going in with like an open mind. Just very dismissive, like very like, and I was a drunk party girl at the time, right? So we would just hang out and get really fucked up. And most of the time I'd just like blow him and we'd pass out. And I'm like, I hope this guy doesn't think that we're just going to get fucked up and I blow him and we pass out and then he gets to go back to being a dick, because I'm a different human. But yeah, so then, and I liked him and I knew he liked me, and I text messaged him, I guess, one too many times, not without a reply, just text messaged him back a bunch, right? So again, not like blue. If you have an iPhone, that means, I've texted a bunch. If you don't, gross. Just kidding, kind of. And then he sent me, so that like after like 3 or 4 times hanging out, he sent me the longest text I've ever received from a person I didn't know that well, right? Like we went out a couple of times and fooled around a few times, but sent me the longest text, basically like breaking up with me. And I wrote a joke over it, and it was like one of the best jokes. And I actually, like, before the lockdown, I was bringing the joke back, because like it was just like, it was, I'm not going to tell it to you, but it was about dodging a bullet. And so then he was gone, right? And then we hung out another night, and he took I let him borrow my sweatshirt, and then he took it, and there was a whole thing. I can't remember it. I can't remember the how it all, but I remember he wasn't super nice, and I remember it really hurt me, and it really fucked me up for a little bit. And I also know that a woman in comedy who is very like protective of other women in comedy. In fact, they have like a group, I guess. They have a group where they like out predators to comedy clubs, which is so awesome to me, because I have been on the lineup with a few known rapists, and that's super fun, because you have to say to the booker, I don't want to work with that guy because I know he's raped 4 women. And then the booker is like, well, he's my friend, so I can't like unbook him. So like, I'll just book you another night. How fucked up is that? How fucking fucked up is that? But like, but these women go around and like call comedy clubs, and they're pretty successful about it because they have proof, right? And if you're a reputable comedy club, you shouldn't want to book a rapist or a reputable booker or a reputable person. But I ran into one of these women once, and she asked me how I was doing with this guy, because she knew how sad I was about how, he wasn't very nice to me. And yes, I think I'm going on a date with him tomorrow night. This is either a good open mind decision, or I haven't changed at all and I'm walking straight back into the fire. I will let you know next week. Or it's not a date and I'm just making this up. I think it's a date. But she asked me how I was doing, and I only tell this part of the story because it was like one of my favorite comedy like validating moments of like, we all want to be liked and loved in our communities, right? And so this woman asked me how I was doing with this guy, and I was like, oh yeah, actually he's been really nice to me. Like when I run into him, he's very nice. He's not at all the way he was, and so that's awesome. And she goes, yeah, I had a talk with him. I basically told him, yo, you're new here. And Kim Kral is loved in the comedy community. And if it gets out how you've treated her, no one's going to like you, because this bitch is loved. How cool is that? What a nice woman, right? I was like, oh, that's so nice. I think I cried. As you guys know, I cry a lot. I cry every day. I don't think that's weird. I feel like I just feel like I found out a couple of years ago. I asked somebody if I told someone I cried every day, and they're like, every day? And then I asked, and the way they acted was like I like spit out a tooth. So I like asked a few other people, and they're like, I don't cry every day. That's weird. But then I just feel, and I don't cry every day because I'm sad. I cry every day. Sometimes I'm really grateful. Like that moment that woman said that, I was really grateful. So cut to a couple years later, this guy, he and I run into each other, and it was right after Jimmy the Dragon had, like, if you remember him from like episode 3, if you don't, you should go back and listen to that story of the craziest breakup I've ever been a part of. I hear he's back in Kentucky, so I never have to see that dude again, which I don't think I would even recognize him, which is bananas to me. But, what am I saying? Oh, so I was really heartbroken, and I ran into him and our mutual friend. They were out, and, you know, he had like a girlfriend, like a really serious girlfriend. This guy I'm going out with tomorrow night had like a really serious girlfriend. And he asked me how I was, and I told him about, you know, Jimmy, and he like sat and like talked to me. It was really sweet. He was just really, really sweet. And I was like, oh, this is the guy that I liked. Like, this is the guy that, like, the guy that why I blew him all those times. I love saying shit like that. Why I blew him all those times, right? And because he was really sweet. I guess that's how low the bar is. You just have to be nice to me, and I'll just, ew, gross. Please don't DM me about this. Like, these are jokes. I'll finish it though. All you gotta do is be nice, and I'll be on my knees. Oh God, I shouldn't have done it. But yeah, don't DM me about this. They're jokes, guys. They're jokes. The amount of times that I talk about like shit like this on stage, and then every show, and then some random idiot comes up to me and is like, I like blowjobs. It's like, get the fuck out of here, Kyle. Fucking get out of here. Because, like, you know, what am I saying? So he's just really sweet. And then we went our separate ways, and I don't think I've seen him since. I think last year he asked if I wanted to come over in the middle of the day because he has a wood shop now. Oh God, if he listens to this, I may not be going out with him tomorrow night. But I think I was just like, oh no, thank you, because is this a booty call? Why would I come see your shop? I don't know. So he messaged me like a month and a half ago, whenever the day Henry, my cat, went into the emergency room. He texted me something really nice, just like how he'd been thinking about me and would love to get a drink and catch up. And I just didn't respond. And not because of anything other than, obviously, I was just really distracted. And I texted him last week and was just like, yo, sorry, this happened. And he wrote back, and he was really sweet. So we're going to have a drink tomorrow, which I don't know if that means a date or not. I love that. Do you guys know, how many times have you been out with someone where you're like, is this a date? Is it not a date? I went out with this comedian a couple of years ago, and we were old friends. Wonderful dude. I'm not going to say his name because he's pretty famous. And we went out and got drinks, and I, in my head, thought it was like, oh, old friends are going out and getting a couple of drinks. And then I don't know what he thought. I think he thought it was a date, but like halfway through, I was like, fuck, this is a date. And it was just like, oh God, so uncomfortable. I don't want it to be a date. And so the bill comes, and I knew the bartender. So we're like, can we get the bill? And I knew the bartender, and he's one of the funniest, like, dry people I've ever met in my life. And the comic goes, I got a cough, I'm sorry. Probably not COVID, who knows. Guys, I'm going out into the world again. I am a little freaked out about that with, like, COVID. I am a little freaked out. That's another reason why you keep your unemployment claim open, because if I can't work for like 2 weeks because I get fucking COVID, there's nothing in place to take care of us. This is so crazy. Vote. Please vote. And if you vote for Trump, you probably don't, because if you've gotten this far into my podcast, you probably don't. But if you do, maybe just do a little bit of fucking research about what's going on. Like, Trump is posting, like, his campaign is current America on fire, saying that you won't survive in Biden's America. Has anyone else caught on to that? That's insane. How? Okay. I will let it go. So the bill comes, and comedian, we're like, oh, can we get our bill? And my buddy goes, yeah. And the comedian goes, oh, I got her drinks. And I was like, oh, I got your first beer. And he's like, yeah. And then I got all of your other drinks. I'm like, yeah. And then I wanted to get your meal because he ate and I didn't. I don't know why. And then the bartender just looks at his deadpan and he goes, so split it? And we were like, yeah, that's fine. It was so uncomfortable. And then we walk out, and he's very attractive. He's very attractive and very sweet. And I wasn't going in, and I was seeing someone at the time, or I was starting to see someone at the time. So it wasn't even on the radar that I was going to go on a date. I just feel like we all need to make it clear. I am asking you on a date. So I don't know tomorrow. Is it a date? Is it not a date? I don't know. And if one of the hardest parts about doing this podcast, really the only part about it that makes me a little squeamish, is that people in my life listen to it. And then they're like, because the neighbors, remember the neighbors I told you about? They all want to listen to the podcast, and I can't remember what I've said about them. And like, it's like 23 hours worth of podcasts that I'd have to go through. And I've just decided to avoid the question as long as possible. Because like normal people, like comics, understand that these are mostly jokes, right? Like these are mostly like comic brains just work differently. And most of these are jokes, and we're always going to go for the joke. I'm not if it's offensive, if it's offensive, like, cause it's a little mean, I don't know. I don't really tell mean stuff, but you go for the joke. Like, I'm not saying anything, bigotry, but like, obviously you guys know me well enough now, but like, I'm like, there's lines there, but I just mean like, but okay. My brain, so much in it. So is it a date? Is it not a date? So like if I was in the date mentality, like with this comic, if I knew it was a date, I might have said no, first of all, because I was starting to see someone that I really liked. And two, it would have just been a different experience. Not like how I would have acted, but a little bit how I would have acted. I certainly wouldn't have been like, and then I got this, and then he's like, it was just so awkward. And then he walks me outside, and we live in the same direction. But I decided, I think to go the other direction, or I drove. I'm not really sure. I don't remember, but we went opposite ways. But in front of, and this is the bar I always go to, so I know literally everyone there. So in front of the owner and the bouncer that I've known for 15 years, they're standing there. We have the awkward hug, not kiss moment. And it was just like, all right, see you later. And then we both ran the other way. He was on my radio show as a guest like months later, I think. Was that before or after? I don't know, but I haven't really seen or spoken. I mean, we follow each other and all this stuff. We like all our shit. Like, there's no hard feelings, but just like, I'm like, was that a date? And I just didn't know. Is it a date? Is it not a date? You never fucking know. And I also realized, so yesterday I went on a hike with a friend of mine, whom I used to, will that be the DM this week too, to explain what whom and who? So many people. I mean, I know the rule. I just have to look it up literally every time. It's like effect and affect. I have to look it up every time. I don't have enough room. I don't have enough RAM in my brain, Oh, someone's calling me. I wonder who's calling me. Someone's calling me. So yesterday I went on a hike with a guy that I used to sleep with. And we liked each other back in the day. And then we had sex. And then I don't really remember what happened. I think it just sort of like faded away. Like it wasn't anything. Like I don't have hard feelings towards him. I don't feel weird when I've seen him. And this was a couple of years ago that we like slept together. I do have a funny story about us sleeping together that I will tell after this. But we were hiking and he goes, remember when we used to hook up? And I was like, yeah, we used to have sex. I was thinking about that the other day, how much we used to have sex. I mean, it wasn't a bunch. It wasn't like 40 times. It was like over the course of a couple of weeks, and then it just sort of fizzled out. And then we laughed it off. And then we were talking like later in the hike, and we were talking about how guys will sleep with a girl and then afterwards say they just want to be friends. And he goes, yeah, that's what guys do. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you did to me. And he goes, no, I didn't. I'm like, yeah, you did. You just wanted to fuck me. You didn't want to date me. And he goes, that's not how I think it happened. I think I really wanted to date you and you just wanted to have sex and then you ghosted. And I was just like, oh, that's not how I remember it at all. I remember that like we had sex a couple of times and then you just stopped calling and I just stopped calling. And he's like, no, I liked you. And I was like, huh. So it's just so funny how like, it's so true. There's 3 sides to every story. Your side, my side, and the truth. And I mean, I don't know what will happen with that guy. I do know that my entire body hurts like insanity. Like that hike was really hard. I haven't been out working out in 6 months. I've gone on 2 hikes. No, I think 1 hike in 6 months, right? Woo! No, 2 hikes. Doesn't matter. Does not. 3 hikes. Who cares? Okay. I have OCD. My brain has to tell you it's been 3. my bottom and legs are so sore. So I texted him this morning and I was like, we're doing that again. And he's like, absolutely. So who knows? What I am saying is that I'm super open. I was very anti-dating. I finally have, I believe, not fully. I don't know if they ever fully will. It's a work in progress, but healed a lot of the wounds. And tomorrow night is practice. We'll see. Like, the stakes are so low because, like, I'm going in cautiously optimistic with this dude because, like, we have a little bit of a hairy past, but I have changed a ton, so maybe he has. And he was very sweet when he wanted to be very sweet, so maybe we'll see. And if not, then we don't see. I have the mentality of, like, I don't want to go on a date with someone because then I have to be in a relationship with, like, I'm so freaked out about getting trapped that, like, I won't try new things and with dudes because I'm just so freaked out that I'll have, like, I don't know. But I'm going in and we're going. It's going to be fine. And I'm in touch with the Lyft driver, guys. Remember from episode, like, 7? I'm going to marry that guy. I'm going to fucking marry that guy. This is now, like, I text him and I was like, I proposed to you on a podcast. And he goes, what? What podcast? I want to listen. And I was like, well, I have my own podcast. I can't believe you don't know that. I talk about us. And he's like, oh my God, what? So just, like, it's nice to not feel heartbroken, with the guy that ghosted me at the beginning of the pandemic who had a girlfriend, like, the whole time. I remember him. I was very sad about him. And then I realized that I wasn't just sad about him. I was healing a lot of ex wounds, and I finally feel I've been able to listen to Taylor Swift Lover without crying, and that's been nice. I wish I was kidding, but when I'm sad, I try not to listen to, like, sad love songs because it just makes you sadder, like, I don't know. But I'm open and I'm excited, and we'll see what happens. I can't do the apps. I just cannot do them. I can't do them. I cannot do them. I try. It just feels like such a forced way to meet somebody. Do you know what I mean? It's just such a forced way. And that meow guy, remember, for meow in all caps? Get it together, bro. So the sex story I want to tell you about. The sex story, the guy that I went on a hike with yesterday, one of the nights. Okay, and we talked about it yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, you're fucking dog. So one night we're asleep, and I'm in between his dog and him, right? And I have, like, no room. I'm literally, they've squashed me in to where it's just the size of my body. Like, there's no wiggle room. And it's funny, the dog is, like, part Chihuahua, Shih Tzu. I don't know dogs, but, like, very small, right? Not a big dog at all. Considered a small dog. But they've, like, they're taking up the whole bed and they're pushing me in and they're both snoring like banshees. Like, they're fucking snoring, and I'm just laying there wide awake because they're snoring. And I'm like, this is a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare. And I'm stuck, and then I have to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? So I'm laying there, like, they're like push me in, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just shimmy out from the bottom, right? I'll just like wiggle out through the bottom. And that took, a good 10 minutes to get out because I'm also courteous. I didn't want to wake them up, which I know now at the end of the story, I should have just woken them up. But so I shimmy out. And then there's the age-old dilemma when you're sleeping in someone's house. I don't know if this is the age-old dilemma, but this is my age-old dilemma when I'm sleeping in someone else's house and it's dark. So you can turn on the lights so you can see around. But the second you turn off the lights, your eyes are no longer adjusted, and it'll make it much harder to get from wherever the light source is back to the bed. So it's like, do you just try and finagle in the dark where you're adjusted because you can kind of see because there's a little bit of light coming in from the window and you can really see everything, but it is still a little dark? Or do you turn on the light and then fuck yourself? So I peed in the dark because I always pick the dark because once you turn on the light, you're fucked. You're fucked. So then I go back to the bed, right? And there's no way I'm shimming up through that little area. The little area hasn't changed. It's still my area. They haven't moved. But so I'm going to try and describe it to where you can see it. I put one hand next to the guy's head, right? To like push-up style. And then another hand on the other side of the guy's bed. So push-up style. And then I just launch myself from the floor and then flip over into my little spot. Do you know what? Like that takes a lot of muscle, I feel like. Not really, not that much, but like a push up. And I flip and I land and it's perfect. And I'm back in my little spot. And then I look at the clock, it's 3:15, right? Like I'll say 3:15. I know that only like 15 minutes had passed. So 3:15 and I finally fall asleep. Finally. They're both still snoring like banshees, but I'm finally able to fall asleep. And then I'm woken up abruptly by the dude jabbing his fingers not inside of me. Haha, I knew that's where he thought I was going. Jabbing his fingers into my side, going, hey. And I was like, what? What's happening? He goes, you're snoring so loud. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Because then I looked and saw the clock and it was like 3:42. And I was like, I've literally been asleep for 22 minutes. You two have been snoring literally all night. I've been trying not to wake you up. And now you just wake me up after I finally fall asleep. And he's like, it's just so loud. I'm like, the both of you. It was really funny. I told him about that yesterday. He's like, oh, I totally forgot about that. And I was like, yeah, fucking Jesus, you know? There's not really an end to that story, except for it's just kind of funny. That wasn't what it made me never see him again. From what I remember, he just kept wanting me to come over and just have sex and watch lots of TV. That was his quote. He would text me and go, hey, you want to come over and have sex all day and watch TV? And I was like, not really. That doesn't sound fun. I mean, like, he's like, do you want to just binge watch Dateline and fuck all day? And like, when I told him that yesterday, he goes, yeah, that's how I date a girl. And I was like, yeah, I guess I didn't want to do that. I don't know. Call me crazy. I guess we all have our standards. I don't know, but I adore this man. So I hope whatever happens next, we get to keep a friendship going, or maybe more. Who knows? I will keep you all updated. And maybe tomorrow night's not a date, and maybe I've just been overanalyzing this whole fucking thing for zero reason all week. But it could be fun, and yeah, my life has changed already so much. I have a job now, I guess. I'm still going to be doing this, obviously. I want this to grow and grow. I've gotten so many awesome messages. Thank you. Like, awesome messages that people are loving this, and it just means so much to me. I've been a weird human my whole life. I've always been weird. I never fit in with my family. I had a Zoom with my family the other day, and it was fine. I did realize though that like I had an extreme amount of anxiety afterwards, and then it took me most of the day to calm down, which really makes it. And they didn't do anything. Like I feel so uneasy around them because I think also they've defended the stuff my dad has done, whether to my face or in their actions. And it's just like, I don't know if I've ever talked about inner kid work, but like my inner kid just doesn't feel safe around them because, you know, and also like, even if they didn't mean to or not, like, you know, my father was doing a lot of really bad stuff to me. And then they all just like, were like, this guy's the best, you know, like we went camping a lot and things happened in our tent whenever, like, it was just so weird. It was like, this is going to be really vulnerable, guys. I'm sharing more and more about these experiences. And one of the main reasons I am is because I've gotten a lot of messages that like it helps people. And it took me a long time to talk about this stuff openly because it's not my shame. I didn't do anything. I was a little kid. But like we all went camping, and for some reason everyone never batted an eye that my dad and I shared a tent together. And that's not that weird, but it like on surface but what is weird is we would all go to change to go swimming, and everyone else would like, you know, like have separate tents for like my cousin never had to change in her bathing suit with her father. And I did, and other stuff happened. And I think that like my inner kid, in which I'm not fully ready to share on this level what happened, but more than changing happened. Use your imagination, I guess. It wasn't that bad. That's so minimizing, but it wasn't like he didn't like, you know, rape me in there. But like I'm saying, like it was more than just like we changed. But I think like, and then I walked out of the tent and no one cared. I don't think it's that they didn't care. It's just like, so I think I just feel really unsafe around these people. Because now that I'm uncovering a lot of these memories, I'm like, you guys were just like inches away while a lot of this happened. And yeah, maybe they didn't know, but like my inner kid doesn't know they didn't know. You know what I mean? So I think I just feel really unsafe around them. And we had this Zoom call, and I just had and they also don't treat me like I'm very smart, or they just don't. It's hard to explain. And like, it's not like you're outward, like one cousin calls me an idiot constantly, and we've sort of not talked in a long time because of that, because it's just not okay to me. I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to hang out with people or talk to people who call me stupid all the time. It's not fun. I did it for a long time, and now I have self-worth, so fuck off. But it's just like I had a lot of anxiety. But the one weird, and the funny thing is I'm very informed, like politically. Like I read both sides. I know what's going on. I knew Kamala Harris was going to be Joe Biden's pick back in the debates. And I said that, and they're like, wow, really? You knew that? And I was like, how did you not know that? Like, first of all, of course he was going to be the nominee. I voted differently, but like, he is the only nominee that is middle enough that can sway conservatives to not vote for Trump. Of course he was going to win, right? Like, and then the way Kamala and he interacted in the debates, it was like, oh, of course they have this chemistry that of course he's going to pick her. But my family was like, how did you even know that? Because I read a lot and I pay attention. And also I had a really sketchy childhood, so and I'm a comedian, so I pay attention to a lot of shit that most people don't notice. I'm very hyper vigilant because I had a bad childhood. You know, I know every exit of every building I ever walk into just instinctively as I walk in, like a fucking ninja. Just kidding. The weird thing is that we started talking politics, and we talked about Mike Pence for a minute, and then one of my family members brings up Dan Quayle. Now, if you don't know who that is, that was George Sr.'s VP. And they started comparing him to Dan Quayle, which is fine. Like, they were like, yeah, they just neither had really a personality. Like, something happened to George Sr., like, we'd be fucked if he had to step in, right? That's fine. And I'm listening, and I'm like, honestly, I don't know much about Dan Quayle at all. I was a very young kid, and I had to, like, think about who he was, right? And I think that's, I'm not even 100% sure. I'm like pretty positive that's who that was, but that's how long and far removed this guy was. They had so many inside jokes together about Dan Quayle. Like, they all, like, and I'm like smiling and trying to act like I'm not confused, because I'm like, maybe this is why they think I'm stupid. Because like, they're like, yeah, something about Pepsi, and then they all laughed really hard, and I was like, what the fuck? This went on for like 6 minutes, like I can't remember any of the references because they made no sense to me. And then I'm listening, and I'm like, is everyone just pretending to know what's going on because they don't want to look stupid? Or do they all have inside jokes about fucking Dan Quayle? And maybe that's why they think I'm dumb. And maybe they don't. I don't know. I do know that, like, they didn't do anything outward on this Zoom call for me to feel anxious. Like, they didn't do anything. I think it's just my inner kid stuff that I just don't feel safe around them. I just don't. And I think that's understandable. And I don't know if you guys are listening. I love you, but that's my truth, you know? Where was I? That went from, you know, snoring, banging, creepy tent time with my dad. Let's see, I got a job. Just kidding. No one's ever going to find creepy tent time with my dad funny. No one. The only people who find those jokes funny are people who are abused as children, because we have to laugh at really, really dark shit in order to survive. You know what I mean? So anytime I say any of that shit around normal people, they're like, oh, your dad, what? And I'm like, oh, sorry, it's not funny to normal people. So I apologize if it's not funny for you, but for those of you who were abused as a child, I hope you got a laugh and you're not alone. And I love you. I love you all. That brings us to our poop scoop, and then we're just going to wrap this thing up. So, as I've asked a lot, and this week I got 3 stories. 3! I want you to DM me your stories. I am going to ask instead of DM. I finally got an email, because my DMs are such a mess. They're a mess because people can react to your stories. So if you put a story on Instagram and people react, you're like, I have 92 fucking messages. So it's hard to go through them. So please send me messages. I got an email. It's KYMKRAL space. So kymkralspace, like why can't I spell space? The reason why I avoided it, I was like, what does it start with? I don't know. Put a tarp over me. Maybe this is why my family thinks I'm dumb. Space, SPACE @gmail.com. So, kymkralspace @gmail.com. Please send me your poop scoop stories. And I am going to read you this week's poop scoop story. Let's see here. I got to pull it up because I'm just going to read it straight from the dude's. Oh, wow. That's funny. I changed my message on my computer when it goes. That's really embarrassing. Not really, but as you know, I'm not really embarrassed by much. But I changed it from Kim Kral's iMac or Kim Kral's Mac to Kim Kral is a fearless fucking powerhouse. You know what? I like reading that. That made me feel good. You should put affirmations all over. They make you feel good when you see them. So remember, I'm not a very good reader out louder, but we're going to do this. And I told the guy I was going to keep him anonymous. So don't worry. If you send me any of your poop scoop stuff, I will keep you anonymous. Here we go. And if I don't read your poop scoop this week, don't worry. I have them all saved. I'm going to read them every week. So you will get read, but I feel like reading like 4 or 5 poop stories may be overkill, especially since it might trigger some stuff that I will want to say about my own bowels. It got really dark in here. Darker. Okay. It was my first time traveling outside of North America. I flew into Dublin on a red eye and got in at 8 a.m., took a bus downtown and found the hostel I booked. I had to go to the bathroom, but they wouldn't let me into the dormitory until 11 a.m. What? I walked around looking for a bathroom, but nothing was open because it was Sunday. Made it to 11, sorry, can't read. Made it to 11, checked in, and went right into the bathroom. There was a small trash can in the stall, and having grown up with 4 sisters, I thought it was for tampons. I finished, oh no. See, I don't read them until I read them live on here because I want to react like, in the moment, spontaneously. I don't know, you know what I mean? We know where this is going. I haven't grown up with 4 sisters. I thought it was for tampons. I finished, cleaned up, flushed, and everything just stopped. The can was for toilet paper because the plumbing over there couldn't take toilet paper. I slipped out of the co-ed bathroom, and no less than 5 minutes later, the staff was there casing the stall like they were CSI. I pretended not to know what happened, and all I hear from the bathroom is fucking Americans. What? Okay. Yeah, I get it. Like, we probably ought to know that stuff before we go other places. But, like, how is that America's fault? Like maybe put a sign on the trash can, like, this is for toilet paper. Don't flush toilet paper. I know there's a lot of places. I know there's a lot of places that have toilets that can't take toilet paper. I used to work at a restaurant that there in the employee bathroom, there was a ton of, like, this is so gross, a ton of poop toilet paper in the trash can. And I was always like, what the fuck? And then I asked my manager, and she's like, oh, a lot of the guys that work here are from countries that their toilets don't take toilet paper. So they just automatically just throw it in the toilet or the trash, which is fine, I guess. But like, if you had to do that, wouldn't you put the poop side down or wrap it up or something? You wouldn't, like, every time it was like gingerly placed on the top, like poop wipe stain up. Yeah. Thank you for that poop scoop, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate it. Please send me your poop stories. I love them. I love them so much. Oh, this is what will bring the world together, I feel like. This right here, this will conquer it all. If we all can come together and talk about how uncomfortable are our embarrassing poop stories. I think I'm going to poop. Speaking of, well, that's our show, you guys. This has been a fun episode. Sorry about the whole rambling about the bartending job for the better part of it. I'm sure I'll do it more. Again, I'm so all over the place with it. Who knows? I return. We'll let you know how it goes next week. Yeah, send me your DMs to the email. I'm going to check that once a week, and I feel like that'll just be way more manageable because I've been missing a lot of cool DMs that have really meant a lot to me that I'm like, oh, you sent this like 3 weeks ago, but it's like buried under 100 DMs. So it's kymkralspace @gmail.com. And follow me on all the socials. I would love that. Kim Kral, KYMKRAL on all of it. I would love it, love it, love it. And if you get a minute, please leave a review and a rating. The reviews are there. I got a couple new ones this week, and it just means so much to me. And it also makes the podcast more visible so more people can listen. And we all can bond over how we've shit our pants. I already told you I'm one lucky broad, but I will say it one more time. I am one lucky broad that I have a job, that I was offered a job that looks like it'll really pay my bills, and also that a lot of you have reached out to me and have given me job leads. I really appreciate it. Please keep them coming. I'm not gonna give up on getting out of the bar world, but it might be the thing I gotta do in order to make this dream happen. Who knows? I'm just one lucky broad for all of you. Thank you, and that is it. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Kral space, I'm Kral.